Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is March 22nd, and we've got baseball to talk about. The Seoul Series. Two players have signed, and some trouble brewing for Ohtani. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, Friday? Guess what? Less than a week until opening day. I am ecstatic for that. Cannot wait for some baseball to be back. But we did have some baseball over the last 2 days. The Seoul Series have come and gone. Dodgers and Padres, the first two games of the regular season. We're talking about that first because that, for me, is the news I want to focus on. But, of course, we have some other things to discuss later on in this episode, including some signings, Blake Snell, JD Martinez, Michael Lorenzen, as well as, of course, the Ohtani situation that he now finds himself in. We're going to be diving into that pretty in-depth, actually. So stay tuned for that, or just skip to it if that's what you clicked on the video for, because that, for me, is a big thing for sure. But before we get into all of that, I want to talk baseball. We're doing Padres, we're doing Dodgers. Let's get in to the two games in the Seoul Series and do the recap. So here we go. Rise and shine if you are on the East Coast at all, or in North America. 3 a.m., 6 a.m. games here in, of course, South Korea. The Seoul Series, Dodgers and Padres. Baseball is back. We've got Darvish and Glasnow on the mound. The Seoul Series, and the first run of the year comes off the bat of Xander Bogaerts. That makes it 1-0 in the bottom of the third. The Dodgers tied up, though, right in the top of the fourth on a Jason Hayward sac fly. But the Padres answer back right away as well. The bottom of the fourth, Campusano, he'll ground into a double play, but that doesn't matter because Manny Machado scores the run. Would take a 2-1 lead, and it would remain 2-1 up until the 8th inning, where the Dodgers would tie the game back up on a Kike Hernandez sac fly. And then it goes from bad to worse for the Padres, because then Gavin Lux, he'll reach on what is called a fielder's choice as he hits that one right to the first baseman, and it goes through Jake Cronenworth's glove. That allows Teoscar Hernandez to score. That gives the Dodgers the lead. And then back-to-back singles from Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani, a run each of those singles. Dodgers played 4 in the 8th to take the first game of the year with a win, 5-2. We jump right into Thursday's game, Padres and Dodgers, of course, and it's Yoshinobu Yamamoto's debut, and it goes horrid real quick as it goes single, hit by pitch, 2 RBI triple from Jake Cronenworth, a walk, a sac fly, a wild pitch, then a strikeout, RBI double, RBI single, and strikeout. That would be Yamamoto's one and only inning in this game. But it's only the first inning, the first half of the first inning, in what is a slugfest of a game. The Dodgers score 1 run in the first and 1 run in the second. The Padres then come back in the top of the third, plate 4 runs. However, the Dodgers would answer right away with 4 runs of their own in the bottom of the third. The Padres score 1 in the 5th, and then Mookie Betts in the bottom of the 5th. He hits the first home run of the year, a 2-run shot to bring the lead that was once 7 runs down to 2. The Padres add 1 more run in the 6th and 7th, but the Dodgers would score 3 unanswered runs in the 7th and 8th. That makes it a 1-run game going into the 9th, and that was the case until Manny Machado launches a 3-run home run that essentially puts this game away for the Padres as they split the Seoul Series with the Dodgers, winning Game 2 15-11. All right, the first question I gotta ask is, do I change that music? do we get some new music for the recaps this year? I don't know. We'll have to see about that. Yeah, good series, good baseball games to watch, especially Game 2. Of course, Game 1, you had your moments there. Yu Darvish started that game for the Padres, 3 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, the 1 run that wasn't earned, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. The Padres used 8 pitchers in that game for a total of 9 walks. So the Dodgers were getting their chances, and they made the most out of it in the eighth inning. Tyler Glasnow in his Dodger debut, 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks for him, and 3 strikeouts. So the walk numbers were up there. Of course, the big moment in this game in the eighth inning, the Lux ball that goes through Cronenworth's glove. If it doesn't, we're talking about the inning-ending double play, perhaps, and then who knows? A tie game. Padres have 2 chances to score. It's just unfortunate but that's part of the game. Baseball is baseball. Daniel Hudson with the win, Evan Phillips with the save. Padres only scraped together 4 hits, one from Tyler Wade, Jurickson Profar, and then 2 from the X-Man Xander Bogaerts. Dodgers, on the other hand, Betts and Ohtani both with 2 hits. Will Smith, Max Muncy, Teoscar. So a quick, low scoring kind of start to the season. But that second game, oh boy, that second game, the Dodgers, yikes, Yamamoto, 1 inning, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 Ks, and then a walk. It was just a messy, messy game. Like, everyone was giving up runs and hits and scoring. All the pitching lines are horrendous to look at. Joe Musgrove for the Padres, 2 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Michael King, who got the win for the Padres, 3 1/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. Of course, gave up that home run to Mookie Betts. Ranger Suarez with the save. It's just a bunch of ugly lines pitching-wise. But hitting-wise, it's great to see Mookie Betts 4 for 5, 6 RBIs, including the home run. Freddie Freeman, he got his first hit of the year. He had a struggle in the 2 games here. Will Smith had a great game batting fourth, as you'd expect. And, going forward, bet on Will Smith. 4 for 6, 2 RBIs, and a run scored there. Max Muncy, tough day in the field for him. Tough day for the Dodgers in the field. 3 errors as a whole. Muncy with 2 of those was not playing a great defense. And then the bottom of the lineup, Jason Hayward 2 for 5. Gavin Lux 2 for 5. So strong stuff there for some Dodger hitters. Padres, on the other hand, 2 for 5 with Xander Bogaerts. 3 runs, 2 hits. 2 for 5, 2 RBIs. Fernando Tatis got his first hits, 2 for 4. Jake Cronenworth, the star in this game for me, 4 for 4 day for him, a sac fly, 4 RBIs, 2 runs. And of course, that 2 RBI triple off of Yamamoto in the first. Machado, he was 1 for 4 with the 3-run home run to kind of seal the deal. And then how about Luis Campusano? 3 for 6, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. And then, of course, Jackson Merrill, the prospect, made his MLB debut on the first game. This second game gets his first MLB hit and almost his first MLB home run. He had a wall scraper double. He was 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored in that game as well. So definitely good to have baseball back and, to have those runs scored. For me, the big winners of the series, I would say Mookie Betts and Jake Cronenworth, hitter from each team. In terms of pitching, not too much to highlight and circle on the old agenda here. I mean, Michael King did look great in his Padres debut in that 3 1/3. Take away that Mookie Betts home run, and he was great. 5 strikeouts there. He's leading, the league right now in strikeouts. Combined 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A combined 13 pitchers used in this game. And then, of course, the Padres used 8 pitchers in that first game, so very pitcher heavy. Of course, that's usually how it goes. It's still kind of spring training-ish time. Some of the pitchers weren't fully loaded. All those starting pitchers on short leashes, obviously, because also they were giving up a bunch of runs. Yamamoto an inning, Musgrove 2 2/3, Darvish 3 2/3, and then Glasnow, who pitched the most, 5 innings. So good for Glasnow there. Stay healthy, and he'll have a good year with the Dodgers. But yeah, biggest takeaway, Dodgers are beatable. People who thought they would go 162-0, no longer the case, and it's day 2 of the season. The Dodgers are 1-1, and I think that's a big thing for the Padres. You make the trade for Dylan Cease. You're now kind of in that mix of Diamondbacks, Padres, Giants. Like, who's coming second, who's coming third, who's coming fourth. To get a win against the Dodgers and to go home and not be 0-2 to start the season is a good feeling. To have that kind of slugfest with the Dodgers and out hit them and out score them, definitely a good sign there for the Padres. So overall, great games. And good for obviously Cronenworth and Betts to get off the season hard, and Bogarts as well. So, yeah, that was the Seoul Series. All right, now with the baseball talk being over and done with, let's get into some nitty gritty of the off season, and we've got to talk about a villain in this off season here, and you know, John Morosi definitely had a hard off season reporting wise, but Scott Boras had a even horrendous off season as an MLB agent, but he does get his client to sign here. Blake Snell, part of that Elite Four that's been the talk of the offseason of how come it's March and no one signed. All of a sudden, Bellinger's there, Chapman signs, and now we've got Snell on a team. It's the San Francisco Giants. Staying in the division, going from Padres to Giants. I was looking at his baseball reference. I saw the photo of him when he first debuted with the Rays with no goatee. He looks so much younger. It's how good does facial hair play a part in a lot of men in life. Blake Snell, two-time Cy Young Award winner, signs a 2-year deal with the Giants for $62 million, and he has the option to opt out after this season as well. Snell has had ups and downs in his career. That 2018 Cy Young season with the Rays, a 1.89 ERA, his only All-Star appearance in that year as well. 21-5. He was so good that year. And then since then, it's been struggles up and down throughout regular season. Of course, has had moments of, shining and being amazing. And then obviously, struggling seasons as well. 2021, his first year with the Padres, he had a 4.2 ERA in 27 starts and a 7-6 record. You're thinking, oh no, this contract. Last year with the Padres, he's a Cy Young winner, a 2.25 ERA, led the league, 14-9 record, stayed healthy, made all 32 starts. He was great. He had a great year. And you're thinking he's going to get a great contract, two-time Cy Young Award winner and all this stuff, and he ends up making very little money, and that's kind of why I'm on this whole Scott Boras villain arc thing, because I don't know if Scott Boras is a good free agent or a good MLB agent. I mean, here you go with his clients. Cody Bellinger, has this huge resurgence year as an MVP award, Rookie of the Year, signs 3 years, $80 million with opt-outs. Blake Snell, we just talked about, 2 years, $62 million with an opt-out. And then Matt Chapman, 3 years, $54 million with opt-outs. And these were supposed to be the big guys. And Jordan Montgomery is still unsigned. And if you think it stops with this offseason, next offseason right now, Juan Soto, Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso, and Corbin Burns are all hitting the free agent market and are all Scott Boras' clients. And I feel so bad for all four of those guys, because what are you going to get with Scott Boras right now? Because he's putting up horrendous numbers for his clients right now. And that's been a problem. But I think the Giants luck out in a big way, because we've talked about, I think I did them dirty in the TOP that I had, presented and done for the Giants. I was talking about, the Giants are locked into the 4. There's no way they're doing anything else. We're talking about a Giants team now that could compete and be a wild card team and be up in the mix. I was talking about them very delicately or very, doubtful for the season. I take that back now. Logan Webb, Blake Snell, when everything's healthy, when everything's right for the Giants, they rock a rotation now of Logan Webb, Blake Snell, Alex Cobb, Kyle Harrison, and Robbie Ray. Of course, that's when they're all healthy. Jordan Hicks is still there. They signed Jung Ho Lee, Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler. They had a very productive offseason with the young talent that they have right now. The Giants kind of put themselves in a mix of, with Arizona, with the Padres. It's very likely that the Dodgers will luck in, just with all their talent and money spent, they'll have be the division winner and be the 1 seed. But I could see the Giants, Padres, or Diamondbacks anywhere being the 2 to 4 in that division. Last year was the AL Beast division and the tough AL. The NL West right now, besides the Rockies, is kind of a cluster of strong teams as well right now. So the Giants definitely did the right thing here. I think it's great for the rotation. They really needed this guy, and Blake Snell is going to help them out in a huge way. So good job there for the Giants. It's a huge steal, in my opinion. Moving on here, we've got JD Martinez, and he is signing with the New York Mets on a 1-year, $12 million deal. This one's an interesting one to me because obviously the Mets aren't going to be competing too much this year, but they do sign JD Martinez. Last 3 years with Boston for 2 of those and the Dodgers last year, an All-Star all 3 of those years. He's had quite the career. He's going to be 36 this year, 6-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger. He still has great numbers. And you know what are you going to get out of him for New York? 113 games last year, 117 hits, 33 home runs, 103 RBIs, a 271 batting average, and an 893 OPS. The DH, is going to lock himself in there with the Mets. And, if you're New York, do you maybe trade him at the deadline? Like, are they going to be competing? It'll be really interesting to see kind of what comes out of the situation here with JD. 12 million is not a big price for Mets, but for a guy for when you're not competing, it is a kind of interesting deal. Obviously, will we see him right away? That's a point with Blake Snell too. We probably won't see him at the start of the season just because he needs to get right now. Is JD Martinez going to be jumping into the Mets day one lineup? I don't think so, but give him the work that he needs here. He's been top 4 in MVP before 2018. The year Boston won their their World Series. Martinez is a great bat. I think it's going to help the Mets out a lot. Maybe, coach a couple of the young kids. I forget this guy was with Houston the 3 years at the start of his career. In 2011, at the age of 23, his 14th year in the big leagues coming up. And joins his 6th team. He was with Houston. He was with the Tigers, Diamondbacks, and then obviously Boston. So 6th team here for Mr. JD Martinez, and hopefully it's a strong year for him, and maybe he finds himself onto a contending playoff team come the trade deadline. So that's something to keep an eye out for. All right, now before we talk about the last kind of big signing that happened, I also want to mention that Santiago Espinal from the Blue Jays was traded to the Reds. The Blue Jays are getting Chris McLavin from the Reds, a prospect there. There was also a trade between the Rockies and Rays that sent Greg Jones over to Colorado. The Rays get a prospect from Tampa. No, vice versa. The Rockies are getting Greg Jones from the Rays. The Rays are getting a prospect from Colorado. 2 simple trades that happened. Last move here, Michael Lorenzen. He is signing with the Texas Rangers for $4.5 million with $2.5 million worth of incentives. Now, this one is interesting to me because obviously Jordan Montgomery is still a free agent. And, I was still kind of believing that he was going to find his way back there. But now with Michael Lorenzen, do you need Jordan Montgomery to come back? Obviously, the strong answer would be yes, 100%. You want that if you're Texas, you're defending world champions. Well, Michael Lorenzen is going to be a nice piece there. He probably slots himself into the bullpen, I would suggest. I'm not sure about the rotation. Last year, an All-Star, of course, was with the Tigers, had a good first half. Was it all-star worthy? No, but of course the Tigers needed that representative, and with Eduardo Rodriguez down on injury at the time, Michael Lorenzen locked into that role, but he was having a strong first half and had a nice half afterwards when he was traded at the deadline to Philadelphia. He threw a no-hitter with the Philadelphia Phillies after got traded, but of course did struggle, played 11 games, 7 of which were starts. He had a 5.51 ERA with the Phillies and a 4-2 record. Overall for him last year between the Tigers and Phillies was 9-9, a 4.18 ERA, 29 games, 25 starts. So a strong year for him, 153 innings, 111 strikeouts. Kind of a career year for Mr. Michael Lorenzen. Of course, bullpen piece with Cincinnati for a long time, but always kind of lucked into starts here and there. But but with, as a starter, was good. He'll probably be a little bit of both. It'll be interesting to see how Texas uses him. But yeah, what happens with Montgomery now is a big question. But Lorenzen will be working towards that extra 2.5 million of incentives as he competes in the AL West with Texas. So good for Texas to grab an extra pitcher. It's an MLB guy. It's an all-star. I like Michael Lorenzen. I think he can hold a game for 3-4 innings. So I think that's a big thing for Texas and kind of why they made the signing in the first place. So overall, good move. Okay, now we've got one last thing to talk about in today's episode. And if you're thinking, oh wow, a quick short 20-minute episode and this is a rare occasion recently, you're wrong, because we're going to be talking about this one for a little bit here, because it's kind of the big story of the last 2-3 days here. And it involves the face of baseball, Shohei Ohtani. A record-setting deal is now finding himself in hot water because of his interpreter. Ippei Mizuhara is being accused of stealing and massive theft from Ohtani. The Dodgers fired him Wednesday afternoon. And I've got a story to go into here, so we're going to be talking about this one here. A lot of this, coverage and everything was off just articles that I've seen. Big one being ESPN from Tisha Thompson, who interviewed with Ippei Mizuhara on Tuesday, I believe it was, a 90-minute interview. Basically, what we're talking about here is Mizuhara apparently had a roughly, give or take, at least $4.5 million in depth in wire transfers, and all that money was sent from Ohtani's bank account to a bookmarking operation set off in a series of events. Just small, I'm saying small, but it's a huge amount of money and a huge amount of depth to be in. And it's very interesting how this has all unfolded. If you're curious for it yourself, I would recommend checking out the article and checking out other news sources. I'm going to be doing a brief summarization of it, so I may forget some of the details that might actually be more important than I've written down here. So Mizuhara had a 90-minute interview with, I believe it was Tisha Thompson from ESPN. And then as ESPN was prepared to publish a story on Wednesday, Ohtani's lawyers came up, issued a statement saying, in the course of responding to recent media inquiries, we discovered that Shohei has been the victim of a massive theft, and we are turning the matter over to the authorities. This is from Ohtani's lawyer, Burke Brettler. And this is very interesting. So apparently, Mizuhara, huge amounts of debt, huge amounts of everything. There's transfers from Ohtani's account into, an illegal sports gambling bookie, and this is kind of the whole issue with it all, being, Ohtani being the one who sent the money. Ohtani and Mizuhara, good friends, since 2017, since the whole Ohtani's come over, they've been essentially inseparable. They spent 365 days together. Like, they're by each other's side. Obviously, Mizuhara, this is off of what we're getting here, in huge amounts of depth, asking Ohtani for help. ESPN got to review, and this is what is the interesting part, that there was two transfers from in Ohtani's name, with $500,000 payments sent in September and October. So that's $1 million of that 4.5 essentially. And it's very interesting to have all this here. And there's so much more that the story goes into, obviously, but I'm trying to keep things short and kind of get the big question points off here. And, Mizuhara saying that on Tuesday in the interview, he's saying that he was in debt. Ohtani's doing the helpful thing, helping him out, trying to get the help that he needs and get him, all this stuff. And then after the Ohtani's lawyer statement on Wednesday came back and said that Ohtani knew nothing and this, Ohtani had no involvement in it. But the day before, when he's doing the interview, saying that Ohtani knows about it and is helping him. So he kind of doubled back on his word. So that's the first kind of okay, hang on here, red flag. Um, but yeah, so Ohtani decides to pay it off for him, said Mizuhara. He said in a quote, I want everyone to know Shohei had zero involvement in betting. I want people to know I did not know this was illegal. I learned my lesson the hard way. I will never do sports betting ever again. But yeah, and the reason we're talking about it and the reason why this could be such a big story for the next few weeks, months even, is because there's one question that we'll be talking about, and that's is was Ohtani the one gambling, and was it just using Mizuhara's account or using like however the transfer was going, and that's the real interesting part about it because if Ohtani gambled like on baseball specifically or just in like illegal sports gambling because it's not illegal for baseball players to gamble on sports. They have to do it legally and it has to be not baseball. They cannot bet on baseball and they cannot use illegal bookings and book sites. So yeah, if Otani gambled, we're talking about a real problem here for him. And I think it was Jeff Passan who said this is only the start of this. Like we'll be talking about this for the next long bits here because now, of course, Otani's lawyers have sent this. It's federal now. We're talking about a long federal investigation. It's going to be a long, series of events. A big thing is MLB has to do something here. We haven't really had any statements or any things here from MLB yet. But I mean, in my head, at some point in all this, Ohtani needs to be disciplined in some shape or form because it's his computer, it's his like name on these like transfers to the bookie. Ohtani, I'm not sure who said it. I think it was Mizuhara said that Ohtani decided to pay it off because he didn't want like Ohtani to send the money to him because he didn't want it to be gambled. So he went straight to the bookie himself to pay off the debt. Of course, with this situation, people think back to Pete Rose's situation, and of course, MLB, banned him from baseball for life. So now we're talking about what does this mean for Ohtani? Because if any of this, if Ohtani comes out as the gambler, or if any of things go through Ohtani, there has to be something similar. They can't just be like, oh, because Ohtani's the star, he just signed this huge contract, we're going to let this one slide. No, there needs to be a proper investigation with Ohtani. They have to look through the Angels organization because this isn't something that just happened in the last 2 months. This has been going on for years, and it's only coming out now. And there's still so much information that needs to come out about all this stuff. I mean, at the very end of the line, like I said, I think Ohtani is going to be disciplined at some point because no matter how you look at it, he broke the collective bargaining agreement in that way. He's going to get some sort of issue because it is now a federal investigation. It's going to take much longer to do it. It's just so problematic here, and you can go through the article yourself. It's just crazy. Obviously, the Boyer, who is the bookie, he's facing felony charges. Mizuhara could be facing felony charges depending on how in depth certain things are. It's very interesting. Mizuhara said that this is all my fault. Everything I've done, I'm ready to face all the consequences. It's. Whew, I mean, just thinking about it and reading it over again, it's just I have no idea what's going to happen here. But at the very least, there needs to be the investigation. MLB needs to come out and start putting in the work to get through this because this is worst case scenario for MLB, for Ohtani, for the Dodgers. There's going to be some real consequences that come out of this. How in depth does it go? I don't know, but realistically, everyone who is involved in this matter is screwed. It's a really really bad situation to be a part of right now. And the only thing I can say for Ohtani's sake is you got to hope that he is innocent in all of this. I believe in the innocent until proven guilty. I'm not going to be thinking that Ohtani's gambled, but we have to have that but what if mindset. We have to ask these questions and we have to see kind of how Tony is now when discussing with media. He didn't just talk to media at all today or on Thursday after the game. He kind of grabbed his stuff and kind of just left. But it is definitely something that's going to come out essentially sooner and later as more people get involved, as the investigations start to happen here. For me, I definitely don't like that Mizuhara is going back on his word. Says one thing on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, after lawyer statement, is like actually this, and this. Like, oh, like there's gonna be troubles. There's trouble right now for the Dodgers, and definitely for Ohtani. And if I was him, I think I'd be a little bit worried because yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen here. What MLB is going to do. There needs to be that investigation, like from MLB specifically, not only through like the feds, but just in general, because this is a huge thing, and especially because they have the wire transfers with Ohtani's name. It's there's two like what ifs in that situation. It's yes, Ohtani paid it off, or Ohtani was the actual gambler, or Mizuhara stole 4.5 million from Ohtani. Like any one of those stories can be the true correct ones, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this continues to develop. I'm not sure how much going to be talking about it once the season starts and going through it on a day to day, but I definitely want to talk about it a little bit here as it's just starting. But yeah, as I believe Paston said, this is just the start. Like this is the first handful of dominoes, the first handful of things coming out and stories and interviews and all this stuff. But this is an onion. There's so many layers behind this story right now that each day I think we're going to get more and more and more. So definitely stay tuned for those ones. Like I said, if you're very interested, check out the ESPN article by Trisha Thompson. A lot of the main information is there. Super useful, super helpful, and informative as well. So yeah, big trouble for sure. And with that all being said, that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Baseball, 6 days away. Get excited. We're doing it all. The second season of Middle of the Order starts, of course, Friday next week. We'll have episode, or will we have that episode? I'm not sure. We will have an episode this Monday, I believe. No, I believe. We will be having episode Monday. It's going to be our prediction episode. I'm going to be going over to my picks for division winners, for MVPs and Cy Youngs and all that jazz. So that will happen on Monday. And then I believe the next episode after that will be April 1st, which will be the first series of, the 2024 season. So definitely some things to get excited about. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you on Monday.